Hey folks, and welcome back to Science Tutor Kenya. My name is Dan, and I help you become the student you've always admired to become through tutoring or coaching, study hacks, and motivation. Remember, learning is a long life process with no age limit, and maybe you are just one idea away from your breakthrough. So if you are new here, you may consider subscribing not to miss that one idea. Otherwise, let's get to today's motive. I'm really excited to be here today because the subject matter is one of the most important tools for any student to master. Having said it is one of the most important tools for any student, it means we have to learn it from one of the best, and that is none other than Richard Feynman. Feynman was a great student who eventually became one of the greatest teachers of all time. We want to look at what Richard Feynman did so differently and uniquely that made him outstanding both as a student and as a teacher.
Symmetry seems to be absolutely fascinating to the human mind. We like to look at symmetrical things in nature, such as balls, which are perfectly symmetrical, spheres, like planets and the sun and so on, or symmetrical crystals, snowflakes, flowers, which are nearly symmetrical and so on. But it's not the objects in nature, the symmetry of the objects in nature that I want to talk about tonight. It's rather the symmetry of the physical laws themselves. Now, how can a physical law have a symmetry? It's easy to understand how an object has a symmetry. Of course, it can't.
Many, or even most scientists aren't really good at teaching, but Feynman had a way of connecting with the student. People used to call him the Great Explainer. And when asked as an expert, Richard Feynman had something to share with us. He outlined 4 simple strategies, the very basic ones, to learning almost anything. And the first one is pick a subject that you want to learn and study it. That's pretty simple. Yes, it is. Identify a concept that you want to learn, pick a material, and start studying or reading it. The second one is try explaining it as if you are teaching it to someone else. So if you are alone, in this case, you might consider writing them down, but verbalizing the words. Try using as simple words as you can, because if you are teaching it to someone else, you want them to understand. And for them to understand, you are going to break down each and every step in the concept as simply as possible. Now, if you are struggling explaining the concept, or you find that you cannot explain the concept in a way that they understand, now you identify a gap that you haven't had a decent grasp of the concept yourself. Now, after you have identified the gap, step number 3 is that you go back and review the material. Reviewing the material means you will have to take the material and read it again. And what this does is, just like when you are watching a movie for the second time, there are certain things that you now notice in the movie that you never saw when you were first watching the movie. Now, reviewing the content will ensure that there are certain ideas that you never noticed in your first review, but are now going to clearly appear in your second reading. The fourth and the last step of this powerful technique is simplification. After reviewing the material and capturing additional ideas, you now want to break down the concept using your own words and rephrasing where necessary to ensure that you really understand the subject. I really hope this helped a ton of my viewers. Thank you for watching and keep looking up.